Hello, everyone. Thank you, Erica, for inviting me. It's great to be here. It's my second BUIDL Asia, and I'm really excited to be here and to tell you more about why blockchain operating system is future of Web3. So for those who are not familiar with Near has been around since 2018, but we launched in 2020. And kind of just to show a little bit of a snapshot, especially from the last year, from last BUIDL Asia, we had kind of a pretty good growth across all of the key metrics that we're looking at, right? Activity, as well as projects, builders, and funding for the startups. And it's pretty kind of amazing to see the kind of continued interest in the space, even as some people consider this a bear market. At the same time, what we see is more and more new developers and builders are coming and really trying to kind of leverage this time to build exciting new products and businesses. And for those who've been at Seoul, I'm sure you've seen a ton of interesting projects kind of building there. Now, originally Near started with the idea that we wanted ourselves a blockchain we can build on, and we actually had a use case ourselves for a global payment network. And kind of our focus has been on how to build something that is usable for users and developers and is scalable in the sense that as more and more applications coming, more and more users coming, you're able to continue growing kind of the network capacity. And so that's why we focused a lot on sharding, on account abstraction, on WebAssembly and tooling around that. And kind of since the launch, have seen developers coming and building things. And last year, a lot of our kind of effort across the ecosystem went into building what we call developer platform, right? This is all the things that you need above the blockchain to truly build your company, right? This is all the middleware like indexers and RPCs. This is all the kind of tooling for APIs to mint NFTs, analytics, etc. All of the things that need to. And what we've learned has been that although there's a lot of talented developers who come in this space, there's still a lack of kind of this clear distribution go-to-market strategies that the whole space is actually suffering from, right? I think when there is kind of a clear incentives, more people come, but at the same time, there's no good retention, there's no good clear value prop that attracts non-crypto users. And so kind of since this year, we focused on what we call a blockchain operating system. And this is on our continuous goal to bring 1 billion users to Web3. So what is blockchain operating system? It's a common layer for browsing and discovering open web experiences. And it is compatible with any blockchain. So why is this important? The reason why we in Web3, a lot of the reasons are because the Web2 has a set of problems that are fundamental to it, right? Lack of data ownership, the fact that like you as a user of Web2 applications kind of giving up all your data, lack of privacy, as well as Web2 itself has a user retention challenges and has a number of censorship challenges as well. Now with Web3, right, because we have all this kind of new paradigm, we've created new challenges, right? The onboarding is probably one of the biggest ones, and it's there's some similarities with Web2. But there's new ones like fragmentation because of the multi-chain, because of the multiple applications kind of doing the same thing, and there's no clear differentiation. There's a huge challenge just discovering applications, right? Let's say you just set up a wallet, like from the wallet itself, you're not able to even discover what to do with it. And then if you go to some DApp or other kind of lists of apps, like they're usually missing things. And so it's really hard to do it. That's why we're all sitting on Twitter and hoping to find something that somebody retweets, right? And at the same time, if you talk with developers and kind of product builders, the challenge they have is even when the users do come to them and use it, they have no way to re-engage them. There's no way to tell them like, hey, we have a new update. We have a new feature. Something didn't work. Why don't you come back and try it again? And we have lots of kind of infrastructure, cross-platform support, things that like common for Web2 and Web3. So all of this is what we're trying to solve with blockchain operating system. We're trying to build kind of a new conceptually stack that allows to connect the blockchains and not just Near protocol, but also others, and users in a way that kind of removes these challenges and removes the problems. So how does this work, right? So there's a stack of kind of components of that really form blockchain operating system. So it's not one thing. And so kind of similarly to any regular operating system, you have a set of so-called drivers that abstract hardware, as well as you have the front end, the app store, wallet identity, and then all of this gets packaged and shipped in a phone or a laptop. So similar here, the hardware alternative here is our blockchains, right? So Near, Ethereum, others, with all the layer 2s on top of them. The kind of drivers and middleware is all of this data, indexers, notifications, search, kind of meta transactions, like all of the things you need to run in the middle between the blockchain and the end user. We also added a new layer. And so we believe this is actually kind of changing not just Web3 development, but also Web2 development, because we're doing something what smart contracts did to web services. We're doing similar thing to front ends. So we took the kind of components of the front end, like isolated pieces of the front end, and we turned them into kind of autonomous, composable, living on the blockchain components that that you can now actually integrate into any app or on any surface, as well as compose and fork yourself, right? And so the source code itself of the component lives on the blockchain, and it allows to have this kind of high composability as well as uncensorable, anti-fragile system, because the front end actually delivers directly to the user without any middleware server. So this allows to actually have, everything from smaller components like images and NFT to up to a full apps, full banking app that composes from swaps and lending, etc. And you have social and other kind of interactions. Now, all of this, right, this is all still kind of infrastructure in a way. The kind of final product is what we call gateways, and this is the installation of the blockchain operating system on the device, right? So this can be the website you're accessing through. This can be an app, a browser itself. It can be a wallet. It can actually be like a front of the mobile phone as well. And so all of this really kind of composes all of this and allows user to navigate between different applications without really needing to think which blockchain the application runs on, and allows for developers to even build applications that span multiple blockchains really easily. So kind of conceptually, we're trying to leverage decentralization to actually achieve distribution, because kind of historically, if you are trying to build in Web3, you're kind of foregoing a lot of the distribution channels. You have challenges with fragmentation. And so here, we're really leveraging this idea that if you kind of put the front ends and product and middleware and smart contract, kind of the back end, the value chain, and make it decentralized, now anyone, anywhere, can actually compose that front end inside their experience. So this forms a three-sided marketplace. On one side, we have users, right, that actually interacting with apps. The data belongs to them, the assets belong to them, and so it doesn't matter which gateway they come in, they always can access their data, and with the apps, they're there. For developers, this is a better building experience, and so they're creating components and apps like this, and gateways are usually existing apps or existing platforms that can turn their app into a super app, right? You go from a limited functionality, let's say your portfolio app, you're just showing the balances, and you integrate blockchain operating system. Now, users of your website or app can do every single app, right? Everything from DeFi to NFTs to development to even Web2, like people already doing ChatGPT embedded stuff in the boss, right? So you're kind of turning your application or website or browser into the super app platform. And so, but users coming, it doesn't matter which entry point they come through, they're always accessing the same data because data belongs to them. So that's kind of the idea of this three-sided marketplace. So again, for developers, faster developer environment. It allows to build once, and it runs everywhere. And it's all like the components themselves in JavaScript, the middleware you can also write in JavaScript, the indexing code, it's also stored on chain. Smart contracts on Near, obviously JavaScript, Rust, but also EVM, all the EVM supported with Solidity. You have faster distribution, right? You kind of come in with distribution embedded that as you publish your app, now everyone who already in the system can access it and use it. They can find it through search. They can see notifications from it. So you have all this engagement enabled. And you have no hosting requirements, no infrastructure setup. You really kind of go in and just launching it and letting people use it. For enterprises, I mentioned if you already have an existing surface, existing app, existing user base, you can turn that into a Web3 in a very kind of seamless way without even this users fully kind of needing to onboard into crypto. And you kind of over time expand what they can do through this without actually adding any additional development. And like importantly for especially enterprises who don't have big developer teams, they just need to embed this into their existing platform. It's few lines of JavaScript, and so it's minimal resources, and you don't need to support this kind of going forward because like all of this, again, the front ends, everything is supported by the, for example, original developers of components. People can fork it, and you can kind of curate the list of what's visible. And it's multi-chain, right? You can use MetaMask, you can use Near Wallet, you can kind of come in from other wallets as people supporting them, and it allows you to expand to any Web3 community. Finally, for users, it's this idea of community commerce, right? It's a coalescence of kind of connection and collaboration through social, the kind of finance and commercialization, the assets, gaming, etc., all in one place. They can discover this. They can, find it through various means. For example, receiving a link drop that allows them to directly log into the whole website. And at the same time, there's a social feed you can discover apps from. And you have this kind of universal social that, again, all on blockchain connects between all of the profiles, users, applications. You can see what applications users are using, kind of discover from there. So you have all of these kind of things really packaged in one and kind of working across this. And most importantly, this is all live. So it's not like, it's not Web3 promised, it's Web3 delivered. So we're really trying to kind of get this now in front and have more developers building. We had in the Seoul some hackers actually doing things. You can build, again, on all the EVMs right now, and you can actually extend it to support any other layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 5 you want, right? So how does this look? Well, it starts with onboarding first, right? So kind of we mentioned onboarding being one of the biggest challenges, and this was supposed to be a GIF, but you'll need to use your imagination. The idea is on each mobile device now, as well as on modern laptops, you have a cryptography embedded into secure enclave on a chip. And so we're leveraging that cryptography to create a pretty much private key that can be used to create an account. And we're setting up multi-party computation for email recovery. And because Near supports kind of very flexible key management, you can then add whatever, hardware, other recovery, social recovery, whatever you want, right? So this is the idea that as you kind of enter an email, you can continue with fingerprint or Face ID to get the cryptography, and you're ready to go. There's also kind of meta-transaction layer there that powers, so you can actually start transacting without even having any fee, like any tokens to pay fees. So all of this is really kind of turning the very painful process of onboarding new users to about 5 seconds. And you are like very, somewhat similar and even faster than Web 2 because you don't need password. And now you're in and you can use the platform. So when you're in right now, this is kind of the current version of this. It's a combination of developer social as well as kind of application discovery, right? And Near.org is our, we call it featured gateway. So it's one of the places where you can kind of access the blockchain operating system. There's actually already about 10 kind of main ones, and people are actually like launching their own here and there. And so through this gateway, you can have kind of a social feed that you can interact with. A lot of it is right now mostly about kind of development and community on Near, as well as Aurora and a few other ecosystems. And then you have a lot of applications that you can interact with. So kind of people are continue building things. It's everything from, as I mentioned, DeFi to NFTs to gaming to kind of people even doing a lot of Web2 things as well, because it actually allows you, again, about 3 times faster for a front-end developer to build new things, because you can really easily look how other things are implemented and quickly compose that with your own. So example of that is anything you look at, you're like, oh, that's a cool. I want to copy maybe this list. You can just look at the source code directly in the menu, and it pulls it from the blockchain. You can interact with it. You can kind of edit it, fork it, rename it, and make it your own. So this is kind of this very easy to hack new solutions environment, as well as you have a more production-ready, Visual Studio Code plugins with, GitHub integrations with all of the normal kind of developer processes that you can build. And you have all the social feed, right, and social interaction that you can actually connect with other people and build teams. And the vision here is really we want to kind of start very kind of core Web3 developer and super fan focused, and over time expand it more and more to have kind of more general social. But right now it's actually very useful because you can go and maybe find some smart contract developers. Maybe you can find somebody who's from NFT community. So you can actually start interacting with the community in different ways that right now you cannot on Telegram or Discord, and actually kind of find ways to engage with these people through this social feed. And finally, I mentioned it supports other blockchains, not just Near. So there's a lot of apps across EVMs. So this is just an example of ZK Sync, where this is actually on a different gateway, but you can access this on Near.org as well. And so you can actually change, as a gateway, you can change the design of the gateway itself. And all of this is running. You can find it through search. Same as there's mainnet apps, Arbitrum, Optimism, even like ZK Sync, ZK EVM, and a few others people are building. So what's next, right? This is already all there. You can build on this now. One of the biggest things that we've always wanted to do is notifications. Is really giving kind of ability for developers and applications to inform user about what's happening, right? Have this re-engagement loop. And so the kind of really cool thing is that now on mobile, you can actually do push notifications directly from mobile web. And again, mobile web is extremely important here because this is the only kind of anti-fragile system, because if you have tried to build blockchain apps on Apple especially, you know how challenging that is. So this allows to really have mobile web application that you can push notifications, and users still in control, right, deciding which notifications they want to receive from which application. The other thing is rolling out a design system. Right now, we have kind of everybody designs, in Web3 in general, new way of showing every single primitive information we have, right? The address, everybody designs differently. How we actually submit the transaction is designed differently. And this is actually hurting our user experience overall, because users are not familiar and they are getting confused, and they don't know, they don't have the habit around experiences. So the idea here is really build a design system and set of components, reusable components that you can leverage to have this familiarity, right? If it's for example, a green button, it means it's a transaction. If it's a red button, it means this, right? You can actually have creating these habits. And so this is leveraging material design and Bootstrap before concepts to kind of this Web3 paradigm. And then the other thing is, so I mentioned kind of multiple blockchains. It already works, but the thing that really developers want is not needing to think about which blockchain user came from and which blockchain is the smart contract on. At the end, that's a holy grail. And so what we're working on is what we call remote accounts. It's really kind of, it doesn't matter which kind of blockchain you have your account and wallet on initially. We want to have kind of a mirrored accounts across all chains and allow you to submit transactions kind of across them without actually changing your wallet and without changing your kind of interaction. And so that would allow to have then kind of both application, like the end user applications that can leverage multiple blockchain, potentially smart contracts at the same time, and kind of deliver that to the user. So that's kind of some of the research we're working on, and kind of really exciting to see progress there. And kind of there's a lot more smaller things that are coming. For example, the fast auth, like the way of signing up account I showed you, they're going to be SDK, so you can embed it into your application as well. So you don't always need to run the gateway. You can actually have that directly, as well as with meta transaction layer. One important thing we're working on is content moderation. Although blockchain is uncensorable and extremely kind of powerful tool, we still want to have safe and positive communities. And so we want to have community to have moderation tools for their own gateways, for their own kind of sub-communities to really power a more positive internet. And so it's an extremely important place of investment as well. And improving search, improving discovery, as well as kind of what we call web engine, the renderer of these components. Finally, just to mention, a lot of kind of thinking is going into how this will work with artificial intelligence, because kind of one of the things that is going to happen, there will be a lot more content generated, and kind of understanding the provenance and the governance of this is extremely important, right? And so the interesting thing about the way blockchain operating system is structured is that you have this kind of fully decentralized cryptographic authenticity of every single thing. Everything from the front end to smart contract to the piece of content you've seen is coming and signed, coming from blockchain and signed by someone. And so this allows to actually have now a better transparency around which content was created by whom, and like if it was plagiarized or if it was kind of created by someone claiming there's somebody else. And so in turn, you can actually now build this governance, and again, safety, trust and safety is part of that as well, to really manage kind of how things are done. Similarly, we also have a Near Tasks launching, which is a crowdsourcing for various tasks, including language tasks, and allows for people to interact through the blockchain operating system with this crowdsourcing platform, earn some Near for kind of making these contributions, and this allows them to feed that back into the making sure that communities are safe, making sure that models are safe, making sure that you have this transparency. So all of those things are actually playing together inside the blockchain operating system, and you can learn more about it on near.org in my posts. So this was kind of global updates. I also want to highlight that we kind of last year when I was here, I announced Near Korea, which is a local hub of Near, focused specifically here. And kind of to give an update, right, so they started in January, and 6 months later, they have made a major kind of partnerships here in Korea with Kakao Games and VMade. They also have been engaging with local developer community, partnership with college clubs, had Glitch Hackathon, had huge presence in Seoul. They're here right now as well at the booth, so please come stop by. They have made a ton of major media announcements, participated kind of and brought in a ton of projects. And specifically yesterday we announced partnership with Marble X to really kind of bring the IP and the content that Marble has to Near and Aurora, and kind of start to engage more and more of this Web2 gamers who exist, as well as Web3 community, and really creating this common kind of place with blockchain operating system. So really excited. The team has been doing great work here, and please connect with them and to learn more. So stay in touch with them, nearkorea.org. You can connect with them. And yeah, I'm very thankful to be here. I hope you guys have a great conference, and thank you.